Now that we've sort of set the trends, if you will, that govern the future economy, we're going to hear from CEOs who have to manage within that framework. And to lead us into this roundtable is Angela Mackay. She's managing partner of Financial Times. Please give her a big hand.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here in Istanbul after quite a long time. I seem to come here in 10-year gaps, and each time it's a miracle of change. That airport, that is something else. I thought Beijing was the biggest airport I'd ever been to, but I think now Istanbul wins that prize. So far, we haven't even been here a day, less than one day, and we're receiving lots of different messages. Some of them are positive, some of them are negative, but there's a little theme, a little niggling theme, I think, that's coming out here that's saying that we have to be super vigilant because in the current geopolitical atmosphere, women's rights are under threat. A lot of the stuff we've fought for and gained is looking fragile, not just our health, our wealth, but also our jobs and how we can think about our children, their future that they're facing. So Irene has told us that yesterday that we need to work together and lift each other up. So I'm joined here by a panel who are going to help us with some advice, some thoughts about how we all lift each other up. Multinational companies, and that is who they represent, have been champions of diversity and inclusion, and certainly these people have been. But these commitments are hard anyway, and they're really tough if external environment is not really very, very supportive. You know, it's messy at the moment. There's trade wars, actual wars, climate shocks, and an abundance of technological change, which we've just seen an example just then from ABB. So, it's a lot to talk about, and we're going to have a discussion. We don't want to do some sort of formal kind of your turn, his turn. I think we want to have something that's a little bit freewheeling, maybe a bit more exciting, maybe a little bit of biffo, who knows. But joining me on stage is a veritable boy band of talent and experience. From Bureau Veritas, we have Karam Majid. From Nestlé over there, we have Leszczuk Vacic. I'm sorry about the massacre of my accent, I beg your pardon. We've got Hussein Gelis here from Siemens, and just over there we have Ali Fuat, or I can't do it. I really can't. I can't do the G. And he is from Unilever. They've got long careers in leadership, in industry, and have plenty to talk to us about. But I want to start with that navigation issue. How do you deal with the bumps, the external bumps, the outward pressure on you as a company, but also as leaders, the personal part of your work? I mean, that frames how you think about your company, of course. So can we just have a little bit of a scene setter on that? So, Hussein, you're right next to me, so you get to go first.
First of all, great being here. Good morning, everyone. And thanks for all the organizers for this great day. Irene, yesterday you said, hello, sisters. So we are always behind you, the sisters, the brothers as well, even when we are now having a male group here. Bumps happens always in our life, I believe. But what is very important, and I'm sure my colleagues will also agree, is the foundation. The foundation could be the mission, the vision, but I think also very important is the company culture itself. The way how we behave, the way how we walk, the way how we talk. So certain times bumps happen, in particular in the environment, but I think it's very important at that stage to stick really on your belief. But show also empathy to the outside world's, for example, challenges, what happens there, not to ignore them. I will just start with that one.
Yeah, I think, first of all, thank you, Irene, for giving me the opportunity to be on stage. Thank you, Angela, fellow colleagues. I'm really excited to be here. What I will add to what Dr. Hussain said is, I think there is a strong sense of purpose that sets the scene for that culture, right? Because there will be bumps along the way, there will be challenges, the macroeconomic challenges, geopolitical challenges, they will always throw curveballs at us. But if you have a strong sense of purpose, that really sets the scene for culture and keeps the organization going.
Thank you, and thanks for the invitation and for this great event. And welcome to Turkey for the foreign visitors. I hope you enjoy our country. So, my simple answer to this question is values. I mean, if you stick to your values, if you put them as the priority for yourself, and if you don't change, because there will be always challenges, there will be always bumpy roads. Let's not put them as excuses to for ourselves. This world went through world wars, natural disasters. It is not the only time that we are having challenges. So there were always challenges, and there will be always challenges. The main thing is, what are your priorities and what are your values? If you stick to your values, it's much easier to navigate and to go and to run your business.
Consistency.
Thank you, Irene, for the invitation. It's a nice feeling, I can say, because 4 of us sitting in front of you is like a presentation in the head office. It's quite stressful, I can say. I don't know if there is someone from Poland, but witam w Stambule. Witam serdecznie. I would introduce myself a bit different, because there are 4 CEOs. My name is Leszek Wącisz. I'm Polish citizen. I am father of 4 kids, and I am grandfather of a beautiful 5-year-old smart lady. I have 3 sons and 1 daughter. And my daughter, she was graduated last year here in Istanbul at school, and she left our nest. You can imagine what does it mean for the father. She left, and now she's out of the nest. It's really painful for me. But when you are father of 4 kids and granddaughter, and you have a big family, you are driven by values, and you are driven by integrity. And to me, this is critically important in the world of where integrity is not so popular nowadays. That's my feeling. Integrity is extremely important. Values, but the real one, not the posters one. We can post, we can have videos, we can talk about that, but we have to live by values. And us as the leaders, we should be the role models. Before we demand, we should show how to do it and how to behave. And that's how I believe that, integrity and strong values, role modeling is extremely important in this bumpy environment.
Yeah. Thank you. And of course, your companies have been role models. In the FT, the Financial Times, Statista Diversity Leaders Ranking, it's the Financial Times, so it must be true. Unilever, Siemens, Nestle, and Bureau Veritas are in the top 25% of the top 800. So it's a nice place to be. And you're operating from a position of strength. So in some ways, because there is a lot of political turmoil, the corporate world and the stakeholders there become even more important because they hold a position of stability. So, and Turkey is a place that's got a lot of female entrepreneurs. A lot of them are here, but there's not a lot of support for them officially. I mean, 30% of the companies listed on the Istanbul Exchange do not have a woman on the board, and only 20% of the top 100 companies are listed in Turkey have got 1 woman on the board. So there's still a long way to go. There are no quotas and targets there. So tell me a little bit about how your companies, and do you have quotas and targets within the company, and what do you think about external? Do you think there should be quotas and targets to stimulate change, to sort of get the ball rolling officially? Jose.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I wish we would not have any quotas. I wish we would have a world where everyone can apply for a job because of her and his capabilities and not because of quotas. I wish. But here comes the reality. It is not the case. So I think, I believe profoundly that we need to give the whole system a kick. And maybe the answers are quotas. We are living in a world where we have access of so many data. So, and in a company, by looking at this data, you see there's something wrong sometimes, not only financially, also in regards to, for example, how the staff is organized, what is missing. So I think from that point of view, when we look at it, and now the answer to your question is, I believe quotas are necessary, but should not be actually result in reverse discrimination. They are necessary in order to give the chance of people who are capable to solve problems in a different way, and women are one of them. Not only, but one of them. At my company, I represent Siemens, and we at Siemens have been 170 years in Turkey, 170 years, and we have actually quotas for top line, for the middle management, and for the up and coming, where we really constantly look into how many people did we hire per year and what is actually the profile of these people. Do we have sufficient women? Do we have sufficient people from different cultures as well? Not only in that. So I think we need to give the system a kick. And sometimes, here it comes, very controversial, you come to a situation where you have a job opening. At the end, 2 candidates are left. You're fair, but you say, I want that profile, and it's a woman, because you don't have enough women in your system or in your company as well.
Just before you go, are you bonused on maintaining these internal balances?
No.
So it's voluntary?
It's actually very well discussed every quarter.
I see.
Every quarter, what we do with our headquarter, because we don't make the differentiation so much regions, headquarter, we are one. We have actually reviews with the headquarter. All countries are together online, and where we actually review where are we standing in regards to the gender topic, top line, medium, and the up and coming. We do this every quarter.
Great, thank you.
Let's change the flow.
Yeah, go for it.
Good. Fully agree with you, absolutely. I'm representing Nestlé Turkey. Nestlé Turkey is, as a junior in comparison to Siemens, only 120 years, and exactly 120 years is this year. Somehow we have quotas and we don't have quotas. Means the rule is 50% of the managerial positions should be in the hands of our colleagues, ladies, yes? In case of Nestlé Turkey, by the way, celebrating 120 years, I found the old pictures. And there's this picture from 1906, the first board of Nestlé Turkey. And there were 2 ladies. Can you imagine? You have managers with mustache, this traditional stuff on head, and 2 ladies within them. Means it was somehow in the DNA of Nestlé. When we talk about middle management within Nestlé Turkey, is around 48% are in the hands of women. When we talk about board of Nestlé Turkey, it's 33 at the moment, but the aim is always 50%. But I agree with quotas, but disagree with quotas. And why I'm saying disagree with quotas? We shouldn't live with this world of quotas, but unfortunately we are in such a world. I asked questions to a couple of colleagues from my team. Different levels, different jobs. What do you think as a smart, energized lady? What do you think? You need quota or not? And the answer, all of them, it was like 8 questions or 8 ladies being requested to answer the question. They say, I don't want to be quota manager. I don't want to have a job because I am a woman. I want to have a job because I'm good. And what I believe in quotas, it should be the succession planning. And this is what I'm challenging all the time. Because you have not so many positions within the organizations, but then you have a succession planning. And the quality of succession planning means 50-50, brutally 50-50. And then you give it the chance to somehow be assessed by women, by men, and the best is winning somehow the job. It should be fair, it should be fairness. Means we have quotas, but not obsessed.
Yeah, I'll echo the same. I mean, in an ideal world, the culture of the organization should always be based on meritocracy. So why do we have this divide, right? You talked about, I represent Bureau Veritas. We are a 197-year-old French public listed company, a lot of legacy. But our global female diversity is 30%. Why, right? The world has 51% women. Why, a top-tier Fortune 500 company is falling behind? So I think
Yes, why? Tell me.
Yeah.
We want to know.
So, I mean, we obviously have work to do. So going back to your question, Angela, I think quotas, firm believer, we need this tactical way to accelerate the process of eliminating this divide. It should not exist, right? So I'll give you an example of what we have. So we do have, similar tier level, or we look at female diversity. We look at background as well. So we look at cultural diversity, but female diversity is big on our agenda. We measure it at different levels, and it is tied to executive compensation, okay? So you have financial KPIs, we have strategic initiatives, but if you miss your female diversity target for the year, you will get penalized in form of executive compensation. I think it's making a difference. Because at the end, we all belong to the corporate world. Matrix drive behaviors. And I'll give you an example of my leadership team that sits across the region. So you have 3 different type of job functions. You have functional leaders, so legal, finance, marketing, commercial, so on. But then you also have product line leaders, okay, who are running the P&Ls. And then you have geographical leaders who kind of own the people, the customer relationship. All 3 of them are compensated in the same fashion. Now, they may have different goals, but if having the beauty of having diversity quota for all of them is you will end up having women in all job functions. Historically, you would have more female population in roles like finance, legal, more functional type of role. But I would like to see an operational leader who's a woman, right? I would like to see a commercial leader who's a woman, right? So I think having that spread across the entire team and not discriminating one job function from the other and make it consistent across the board is making a difference. At least it gives us agility to get there faster.
Thank you. Alif.
Yeah. Based on my experience, quotas are needed in some certain cases, actually. I spent a lot of time of my career in sales. For example, in sales, you need quotas to improve. Actually, in Unilever, we reached to 50-50 at the managerial roles by 2019 in Unilever Turkey. So, also globally, we are there. So, in total managerial roles. So, once you reach to 50%, and it becomes your DNA, then you can move to a different role. But in the early times, especially in sales, we needed quotas because quotas creates focus. Quotas creates some urgency. And people understand the need. These targets, quotas, provide this. But quotas or targets by themselves doesn't make the change. In order to make the change, you need to take the action. You need to systematically take actions and believe in that. But putting that quota target helps. That's my, at least, experience when it comes to quota.
May I just, but how to deal with the men who feel like quotas actually create discriminations towards them? So we are dealing with that as well.
Sure.
Because men say, well, I'm discriminated now. So
Now they know what it feels like.
And we have to be open to discuss that. So men have to also actually understand why it is important to have a diverse, let's say, staff. Because we would be fools to say they are not men, they are not thinking about that.
Just one comment. Don't take me wrong. Maybe what I will say is brutal, but the men's world is brutal as well. We should change such a people. If there is a man who doesn't understand, he should be changed if he's not able to change his mind. This is my perception.
Maybe one addition to that one, because diversity is something different, but on top of diversity, there is inclusion and equity. And your point is basically on equity. We need to create a equity for our people as well. And this helps for that. So I don't see any reason for complaining about that, because we need to create the equal chances to everyone.
I think this is a very interesting debate, and we often have that in our leadership teams. And as Simon Sinek says, start with the why. Right? Why is it so important? So quotas is a tactical way. I think there's consensus on stage on that. We are dealing with a lot of complex problems. If you go back to the corporate world, maybe 20 years ago, you would have one big senior leader lead with command and control type, setting the scene. I think people don't like to be led like that anymore. You need thought leadership. You need people who think differently. So in order to deal with complex problems, whether it's driving profitable growth in the corporate environment or running your own business, you need diversity of thought. And scientifically, it's proven that a male brain works differently than female. So I think it's not an option anymore. If you want to drive progress in any form of businesses, you need diversity of thought. So it's a must.
Alif, when we were talking, you said, why not? Why not have women promoted in your company? Why not have equality? But it seems to me that what's happened with Unilever is this proof of concept. If you reach that 50% level, 50-50 level in 2019, and the sky has not fallen, your company is doing very well. So that is kind of a poster child, and I think all of you have got examples of that in your company. So that's why I think it's very important for the corporate world to be pushing ahead while there are a lot of other forces outside who are not that interested. But go on.
Maybe one addition to what you are saying. Sky has not fallen. On contrary, the results became much better. Because once you have a better environment, more diverse culture, the results come by itself. So it's a proven thing.
Irene, I have a proposal. Maybe we should do kind of a global survey with the one question. Why not women? To all the boards, all the CEOs globally, why not a woman? What are the reasons? Because from my perspective, I don't see any obstacles. Now,
Irene just said he wasn't normal.
now one important thing. We were having like a presentation of a lady professor, very smart psychologist. And she says in the current world, which is very volatile, very bumpy and strange, empathy and emotional intelligence is more important than IQ. Who has more emotional intelligence, the man or woman? The answer is obvious. Yes?
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable what you said before.
Good, that was the reason.
Because we are talking about inclusion here. And I'm saying this bluntly now. Our job is to ensure that everyone understands what we are doing and not to fire them only because they have different kinds of emotions in a certain moment. So people might have different feelings. We have to show empathy in order to win them all. And I think that's what you wanted to say. Because I think we will always live in a world where people, for example, are saying something because it's popular, but reacting differently. And in order to give the people a chance to talk about, why we are doing this, to discuss that, that is actually a moment where we then win really people. So I think that's Probably we're thinking the same.
Probably yes. But at the same time, if you spend 3-5 years explaining, engaging, sharing, and there is no progress,
Eventually you have to take a decision, but I think that
Exactly.
just to
That's
make a
the point.
point,
That's the point.
inclusion is very important in our society.
Ooh, it's kind of getting a bit feverish. I like it. That's great.
it's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. That's great. So I just want to turn to technology because all of us in all of our companies are looking at technology for efficiency, for proficiency, productivity gains, and also just to get rid of some of the shitty work so that we've got time to do more elevated thinking, more challenging work. But at the same time, their research is starting to trickle through, which shows that AI is not affecting everyone equally. Many of the roles that are exposed to automation are female dominated, while workers in higher paid professions often have greater resources and networks that help them to adapt. So we're all investing heavily in AI, but how do we balance those productivity gains with the risk of creating, another gender divide in the workplace? I mean, have you started thinking about that? I mean, have you started to see that come through the company?
Well, I think one of the most popular discussions is this whole topic of AI. Where is AI taking us? What does it mean for our jobs in the years to come? And first of all, I think we have to look back. Whenever there was an industrial revolution, the discussions always happened, it will affect the jobs, but we always forget at the point of change that also AI will create new jobs. So 70% of many of the jobs that we need in order to manage AI are even today not defined. So I think, therefore, what we all are doing right now is this reskilling. I've been working for Siemens now for 50 years. And in this 50 years, I never saw a period where we invested so much money, so much efforts, so many discussions on the whole topic of really education, that the people have platforms to reskill themselves and get ready for the new challenge. So yes, you're right. In the first flash, it looks like that, but we should not sit there and saying, poor me now, and we should all think about how can we reskill ourselves to being ready for the future.
Maybe one build, I fully agree on what Hussein is saying, is one reality. None of the companies, nobody wants to lose their good people. Good people are the assets, the biggest assets of the companies. So, yes, there may be some, of course, definitely, we are all investing on AI. This is a reality. However, upskilling and reskilling is the major thing that we need to do for ourselves and for all our good people so that we can find some new alternative roles for them to grow the business. Because ignoring AI is not an option. Ignoring technology is not an option. And you need to grow. If you don't grow, you lose people. You need to grow as a company so that you can keep the roles. You can keep people in the companies. That's why the most important part there is upskilling and reskilling. But I need to admit one thing. We are discussing AI in every platform, in every meeting, almost in every meeting. But until you sent that link, I need to admit that I was not aware that that might have a bigger impact on the women employment. So from that perspective, I think as the leaders, we need to again rethink and start thinking about what we can do on top of what we do for the total roles.
Yeah. Look, there is obviously agreement that AI will change jobs. And this digital transformation, the train has left its station, right? So the question is, how do we get there faster, and can we really upskill our people. I'll give you an example of what we do, right? So we are a global leader in testing, inspection, and certification. And we have 85,000 employees across 130 countries. 2 out of 3 people that we hire are technical, okay? And the inherent nature of what we do is very manual, okay? So you have people, take the example of sending an inspector to an industry to inspect an asset. He will have to make sure he has access getting there, or then he will use some form of tools. But the fundamental task that an inspector performs at a customer site is very manual, okay? Now, with the change in technology, we are using drones and robots, okay, to get better access, for better personnel safety, to drive productivity. The real challenge that we have, linking it back to diversity, is I don't have a 50-50 divide between male and female. Our number one challenge is to get more female inspectors. Once I can get that ratio to a 50-50 population of male versus female, upskilling will happen. So it doesn't matter, right? The real challenge today from a technology and skill standpoint is how can I attract 50% of my inspector population to be female? After that, I'm not worried at all, because it will not matter.
And as was said, it's unstoppable. But it doesn't mean that we should be passive with the situation. Definitely not. I will not repeat what my colleague said about reskilling, upskilling, etc. But I think important is to start now immediately, and I mean our kids and our grandchildren and education. You know, I have a daughter, and when we were discussing, by the way, she was 11 years old, and she said, I want to be a dentist. When 11 years lady says, young lady, I want to be a dentist being 11, you say, let's see. She's studying now, she's on the 2nd year of dentistry. Yes, she's very consistent. And we were supporting this because she could say, I want to be engineer, I want to be, I don't know, archaeologist. I said, no, good, be dentist. I hope AI will not take a job from her. But seriously, there are people, someone said that it's not AI who will take a job from the people. There are people who will know how to use AI. They will take jobs from others. It's about upskilling. It's about education. It's about learning. What we do within our company, of course, industry by industry situation is different. We are not high-tech company. We are food company. Means we are using AI in forecasting, planning, and making life of our employees easier. I use it as well. Means I'm answering emails using AI. And I have 8,000 emails in my inbox. Yes, it helps a lot. PowerPoint presentation, such a things, it goes. But at the end, you know, we are using AI at this moment of time to make life of our employees easier. And I have a very simple measure. My colleagues, you can confirm or not, but you know Excel sheet. Everyone is almost using Excel sheet in business. The moment there will be no Excel sheet anymore used within the companies, then we need to start to think, yeah, AI took the jobs. But for the moment, everyone is using Excel sheet. Doesn't matter what AI is how AI is developed.
Actually, I'd like to ask the audience a question. Can I have your attention for a second? Could everyone put their hand up if you use an AI tool in your workflow? Who uses AI in their workflow, whether it's summarization, writing letters, doing research? I would say, yeah, just about everybody. So I'm going to ask you like a personal question now. So your child comes up to you. Your child came up to you and said, I want to be a dentist. I think that's pretty AI-proof at the moment, right? So what would you be suggesting to your children who's maybe 16 right now? Pretend you've got a 16-year-old and saying, what should I be studying, Dad, to future-proof my career? I mean, obviously, I'll tell you what I said first. I said, darling, what about being a carpenter or a plumber? I'm not sure. And they're going, oh, no, Mum, I want to do something much more elevated than that. So my son is unemployed and working in a bar, so with 2 degrees. So, you know, it's really something we need to think about. What would you be telling your kids today?
Well, I have 3 kids. They're all grown up. And we all went through this discussion, and I tried not to make any recommendation, more to understand what their capabilities are. But I think your question is more based on today's trends, maybe what I would, yeah. So, well, it has to do with digitalization and AI, but it goes to different dynamics. May I give you an example of where I see AI and females in particular play a very important role? Women have many different talents that we are fascinated with. When you go into a meeting room and you throw in the meeting room a problem, and there are 5 men and 5 women, most likely, doesn't matter in which country, the first reaction will be by man, immediately to have an answer. Woman, listen. Listen first of all, and then come up with a very good answer, and the men are very often surprised. And now it comes to AI. AI is important, but it scares me because very often AI gives a very quick answer. And majority of the men like a quick answer. Women are skeptical. They listen. And in life, when we are confronted with problems, we need to take our time sometimes and not immediately to live with the first answer. There, I see a huge benefit in the years to come also, in particular with the talents that women bring on the picture, to work with AI, but be skeptical and to question it. That comes actually where, in particular, the female talents comes from my point of view, and we will see this much more.
Yeah, look, I'm also a proud father of 2 kids, a 21-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter. One chose to be an engineer, and the other is just finishing high school and on her way to get a business degree with a major in communication. We did have that conversation a few years back, and my response was, it doesn't matter what you do. We live in a complex world, and there is always opportunity to shine in every field. Just make sure whatever you decide to do, you are good at it, okay?
I think this is a great answer. And by the way, it's a very hot question for me because my older son is graduating from high school this year, so he is now at the process of selecting his university. So we are discussing these things in the family. My recommendation is similar. At the end of the day, be good at what you are doing, and you need to love what you do. In order to understand what you love, you need to try. You need to start working. You need to try. I can give the example from myself. I started working at my 16 as a waiter. And once you are a waiter, you work with, you have the chance to understand people, know people. You meet a lot of people. Once you meet people, you understand the needs. You create that empathy. And then these are the leadership behaviors that you need to have in order to become a successful person in your career. Yes, not only the education by itself.
I have very, very simple recipe to my kids always. I say, be happy. Just be happy. And then my son number 1, who is 38 years old, he was having tattoos, or he has tattoos, he has long hair, and he plays in his band, heavy metal. Can you imagine? The son of CEO plays heavy metal. Good. I love it. The band is Transgression. Then the second one...
We'll have to look it up on Spotify.
The second one is, it's chef, executive chef, graduated, but it's a chef. The third one is working in IT. By the way, my son, who is a heavy metal player, is as well the cybersecurity manager in one of the banks. This is what he did on top to his... but I didn't push for that. And daughter, of course, because she was 11 years old, she knew what she wants to do, dentistry. But no pressure, no.
It's interesting. So to be happy, and of course, if you're happy, usually on top form and high performance. So that's sensible advice. So just to step back a second, we were talking about reskilling. So have you changed the budget allocation within your companies? Are you reskilling up? Are you putting more money toward people training than you did, say, 5 years ago?
Absolutely. But this,
What proportion?
I would say about 30%.
Wow.
30%. Let's say the money if in education went up. It is even not just regionally, it's globally. We're using technology, probably many of us are having the same, where people can go online and get certifications, etc. And what we do is, what I like, there is some kind of pressure behind it. Every morning when our employees are turning on their PC, they see actually how many hours of, let's say, they spent on education, and how is this compared with the average of the company?
So this is the learning platform.
Right. So they see then, in average globally, it's maybe, 30 hours, and I'm at 12 hours. We do not penalize, but they see it, and that encourages them also to take more, let's say, classes to reskill.
So 30% for you, what's going on there?
Yeah, so look, in our case, we are a pure services play. We are not a product company. In fact, I have to acknowledge, before I joined Bureau Veritas, I spent half of my career with GE, big product company, developed aircraft engines, very similar to what Siemens does in the energy space as well. If you are working for a product company, there's a lot of excitement in the organization driven by launching new product. And these are research and development oriented, billions of dollars of investment. Decisions made today will give you profitability down the road. When I came here, I was actually a bit curious, also a bit worried on where the excitement is going to come from, because there's no product, right? Until I discovered that our product is the skills of our people. So our entire budget, we don't have a manufacturing base, we do have some supply chain activities going on, obviously massive subcontracting. But if we don't upscale our people, so we are heavily investing in technology, in development of our people. 100% of our budget is based on developing people. So we always do training, sometimes it's on-the-job trainings, leadership training, focus, building expertise, domain-specific training. It's all about that. That's purely our revenue model. We put people as consultants providing technical services, whether it's testing, inspecting, certifying at customer site. We charge for their time. You attach that timesheet to your invoice. That's how you make money. The more we do, the more profitable we are. Absolutely, yeah. So there is a 24/7 focus around that.
Yeah, in our case also, development is a continuous process. At the end of the day, you need to develop yourself. If you stay where you are, you go back at this century. So this is a continuous thing, and we do offline, online, on the job, but every day, we spend time for our people to develop. And let's not forget, there is an attrition in the company as well. So every year, 8-10% of the company is new people. So you need to show them, you need to make them understand the culture, and also you need to train them on the job as well. So that's one of the main responsibilities of a manager, by the way, developing your people. That's why we spend both money and also time, a big time on this one, quality time on this one,
So
as a priority for ourselves.
That's interesting what you're talking about, staff turnover as well. Has technology, I'll come to you, you can answer two questions at once. Have you seen with the use of more sophisticated technology, higher turnover rates of staff, or slowed down, or no change at all? Obviously, it was different during COVID. A lot of people just sat tight and hoped for the best. But now I think it's a little bit more free and easy. So have you seen technology changing the amount of attrition?
Here, what I was observing is Hüseyin Bey is saying that I am working for Siemens for 50 years. Leszek was saying 32 years. I am 31 years in the same company, Unilever.
I'm 22.
If we do a similar panel in 2050, I am not sure that you will find people who works for the same company for 50 years or 30 years. That's an observation. This is not good. This is not bad, by the way. I'm not saying something bad. At the end of the day, why did we stay in our companies? Probably the values of the company matched with our values. We worked with good people. We saw that we developed ourselves. That's why we stayed in our companies. If you still see so, I'm not regretful. I would do the same if I go back 30 years back. If I go 30 years back, because I learned a lot and I developed a lot in this company. For the young generation, I can see that the patience level is a bit less. So they want to jump from one to another, which is normal. I take it positive, by the way. We need to live that. We need to learn to live with that as managers. Of course, we are trying to keep our good people at our companies. But if they want to go and if I want to try, of course, we need to encourage them as well.
No, I give you a slightly different perspective. Yeah. So I'm been in the industry for 25 years. This is the 5th company I'm working for, okay? And I generally, when I go, and I didn't plan, you don't plan your career like that, you know, especially when you're in early stage. But every company I've worked for, I learned something new, and it always stayed with me. I took those learnings with me and moved to the next level in my career and applied that. And then it took me to the next level. So from a personal career development standpoint, it's been great. On how I contributed to the success of the organization that I worked for, amazing. So I think sticking to one organization is classic, is amazing, tremendous amount of respect, but there is nothing wrong provided you learn and apply and contribute and deliver, right?
Answering first question, yes, we invest a lot behind education and trainings for the people. We are a global company, 188 countries where Nestlé is operating. We have one platform called We Grow, and there is plenty of opportunities for personal development. But sometimes I have a feeling that we are like, you know, I saw it once during the Christmas time. Under the Christmas tree, there was a lot of gifts and presents, and the kids were so tired that they were not able to open all of them. It's too much sometimes, yes? But it's given, means online trainings, offline trainings, cooperation with top universities, Koç University in Turkey, for example, the managerial programs. Refrain, our own learning center, or London Business School, etc. Means we invest. It's up to our employees to invest and to will to do so. Now talking about the second subject, you know, the COVID was COVID. I came here practically at the beginning of COVID, and I was shocked by the fact that office was completely empty. Empty, 4 floors, no people. It's a strange feeling to be almost alone, yes? And I said, let's change this. But we have a COVID, yes, but I came from the countries where COVID, it was as well COVID, yes, but we were somehow operating more. And then I discovered why people are not coming to the office so much, because 60% of our team is living on Anatolian side. And we have here 3 bridges. To come to Maslak, it takes 2 hours. Yes, you say. And then I spent like 4 months disputing with my head office, and I convinced them to have, together with the team, to have 2 offices. Normally, all CEOs, they are putting together, you know, offices. I split 2 of them. Now we have head office on European side, and we have head office, satellite one, on Anatolian side. And as a consequence, we have more applications now because we are offering flexible working time. We are offering 2 locations, and you have moms, especially moms, coming. It was a case, the mom came to me saying, Leszek, thank you very much, because I have time for my daughter. I don't need to travel those, 3-4 hours anymore. I can come to the office, I can spend time there. It means such a thing like creating kind of a campus environment for the people, listening to them, understanding them helped a lot. And the last thing, we don't have offices. I don't have my CEO office. No one from board of Nestlé Turkey has own office. We are sitting open space. We are having system called Desk In. You book your table, and I'm sitting with all our teams on Anatolian side, on European side, having this interaction, mentoring, coaching, whatever, that's the way we are working together as a one team.
That's great. I'm just going to have a little interruption here. Hussein has got to go straight to the international airport and get a flight. So thank you so much. We're not finished yet, but lovely to have you here. Yeah, that's, I think, very interesting in the way we've all changed our work patterns. And of course, it's been a really expensive change for all of us, right? Because we haven't really downsized a lot of our offices. We have changed some of the infrastructure inside those offices, but I suppose that's the next big thing. Do we all decide that not one person, one desk, maybe 3 people, one desk, but that's another story. So I think we might have some time for questions, but we've got one more question that I want to ask you before we turn it over to the floor for a few minutes of Q&A. So it's very hard to tell the future, but I'd like us to pretend we can. So sitting here in 5 years' time, hopefully back in Istanbul, because it's a wonderful city, what would success look like for you in your companies regarding DEI? I mean, is it more of the same? Is it, oh my God, stopping any decline? Is it dealing with humanoid robots who say, I feel left out of the decision-making process? I mean, what are we going to be talking about in 5 years' time? How are we going to be feeling?
Look, I like to set the bar high. And I would say 5 years, especially with the way things are progressing, information age, technology, 5 years is a long time, right? Because you think what was happening a year ago. I would say female diversity should not even be a topic. We should be done by then on this topic of percentage of women versus men and this whole divide. I think it should fairly be non-existent, okay? We should be equal men, women, hands in hands, discussing real challenges, having diverse culture in the organization, built inherent, right? Not being pushed every day as we use quotas and matrix. I don't think the world is all about that. You should have diverse teams, high performance culture based on meritocracy, both men and there is not a single job in this world in any company that a woman cannot do. I think there are things that men can't do that women can, right? So I actually think the opposite. So for me, what good looks like in 5 years from now, this should not be a topic anymore.
Yeah, I see inclusion as kind of blood in the vein. I mean, it has to flow. It has to be in the DNA. Yes, on the gender balance, we don't have any problem in Unilever. I mean, we are 50-50. At the board level, we are 60-40, 60 women, 40 men. So we can say that, yeah, it's a tick and we can go. But inclusion, there is no final line. You need to continuously invest on that for people, for the culture, to continue with the same mindset. And that's what I dream about that. By the way, as leaders, these are big companies, and we are not only responsible for only our company. At least this is what I believe. We work with a huge ecosystem, lot of stakeholders, thousands of suppliers, thousands of customers, retailers as Unilever. So I see myself responsible to lead at that front as well. To make them also, because your number was striking, 30% of companies who are at the stock exchange of Turkey doesn't have one single board member as a woman. Some of them probably are our suppliers or retailers.
Yes.
So then I need to take a step there as well. As Unilever, not me only personally, but Unilever has to take a step there because we have a responsibility. We need to make it together. So this is what I dream about for 5 years ahead from here.
Wow, altruism, but really sensible. Thank you.
I'm not stressed so much about the future. I believe that my company, the values are rooted in respect. It's respect to ourselves, to others, to diversity, and to future. means sustainability. Means I'm not stressed about my company. But at the same time, I believe our companies or multinational companies or local companies who are understanding what does gender balance, proper gender balance mean, we should be more role modeling and be more vocal outside. Maybe we will set examples for others to follow, especially that we are successful on the market. And we are not successful because we have 100% men. We are successful because we are very diverse. This is how I see it. On my personal side, this is my personal side. I love your presentation about the robots. I will never replace my Dyson handy vacuum cleaner with any robot. I love to vacuum. I love to clean my house. Seriously, seriously.
I'm sure that's cheaper than going to the gym, right? We'd love to have a couple of questions, yes? And Irene is first cab off the rank.
You guys aren't normal.
Thank you. Hope so.
You're not. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about DEI as a necessity. If only 21% of senior execs are women globally in the top 500 companies, there is still an issue. So all three of you are working in a region where there are cultural constraints on women's roles. So how do you handle that if headquarters says, these are your targets for women hires? Not, targets, not quotas. But you're in an environment that is very challenging for the women themselves. So how do you operate in an environment that is not the same as, say, in more developed economies?
Thank you, ma'am.
I think this is a real challenge at hand, right? Because we're talking about Middle East, Caspian, Africa, 35 countries. So there are obviously cultural trends. So one thing that we started doing last year, Irene, was look at the current female population, and on average we have 30% female diversity, on why do women leave our organization? Okay, we started looking at analyzing that data, and what we realized was, okay, cultural constraints, yes. So there is a certain type of jobs that women prefer to do, but are the hiring managers also taking a bet on female talent, right? We have also seen a different behavior when man applies for a job versus women, and data proves that, right? So taking some bets by giving operational roles, commercial roles, technical roles, not only the typical functional role has made a difference, but also allowing women to have some sort of flexibility on work arrangement. We have almost 700 employees in Turkey, so we had a similar conversation around women talent, diversity in our office yesterday. And I gave a lot of confidence to the females in the room. It's okay for you to be late in a meeting or at work in the morning because you were getting your child ready for school. It's okay for you to be late because you were preparing breakfast for your partner or your husband so that he can go on time. And I think one shout out or one call to action to all the female is, don't be too harsh to yourself. Give yourself a pat at the back. People understand you have things and responsibilities and work to do that a normal man does.
Maybe this is related to my age. I'm 61 years old, and after 61 years of life, you normally saw and practice a lot of things, and you have an amazing experience. And one of my experiences is that we talk a lot, and sometimes nothing is happening. It's like sustainability. We cannot do something because there is no infrastructure. It means what? We cannot start with sustainability as a company because there is no infrastructure within the country. No, we have to be prime movers. The same with gender balance. If there is no, let's call it infrastructure in the country, it shouldn't stop us. And this is what we do. We go. I am a former basketball player, and I love one sport brand, is Nike. Why I love them? Because they say, just do it. We have to do it without wait. I know it's not easy. But we need to be vocal. We need to be engaged. And again, everything is based on values. When we come with the values as a lighthouse to whatever authorities, and we present and we talk and we show the numbers, and you know, it should work in the normal world. For example, within our organization, the biggest challenge we have from gender balance perspective are our factories. We have only 13% of ladies working in our
13,
factories.
13.
One third, yes. But at the same time, we have some functions within the organization where it's like 98% of the function. Legal is almost 98% in the hands. Our factory managers and plant managers, 57% is in the hands of ladies. We are setting example. We are offering trainings for the forklift operators as well, for ladies, only for ladies, just to give them opportunities to learn something new, something different, which normally is typical job for the men, forklift operator, yes? Means just do it. That's how I see it.
Maybe one bill from my side. I mean, here where equity comes into place. Because being equal to everyone doesn't mean the equity. We need to create the right and fair chances to everyone based on their situation. That's the critical thing. So that's the obligation for the leaders, by the way. Because what we were recommending to our children was to be happy at their work. We need to create our people to be happy at their work. We need to create that psychological safety for them. And once you do that, we will see that all these numbers will go up by themselves.
I hope so. Wow, we've got some cues there. We can take a couple of questions, Irene. Okay. Ladies, could you keep the questions relatively short so that we can get as many of them as possible? Yes, I'm taking the lady over there on my right.
Hello, my name is Zübeyde Aksay from Turkey. I'm a lawyer. Değerli Leszek from Poland. Honestly, I was very impressed by your speech and by your achievements. I think I was also very important that you talked about quotas. It was very honest of you to admit that some men feel they are being discriminated against because of quotas. My question is this, and I am sure many women, my sisters in this room, would like to hear your answer. You have 4 children, 3 boys and 1 girl. What I am most serious about is how you were able to become too successful while raising 4 children. Even raising one child can be very difficult, you know. Children get hungry, get sick, and need attention all the time. Yet you managed to achieve so much. How did you do it? I would really like to learn from your experience. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Miracle Man, tell us.
Now I will surprise all of you even more. I will tell you what was the secret. What is the secret? Is my wife.
Of course.
I have an amazing wife. We are happy married since years. But I will surprise you with something. I was 29 years old, 33 years ago. I was the pioneer in Poland, and I went for paternity leave for 1 year. I received invitation from tax office. A question from the lady in the counter was, why you don't have any income? I say, because I'm on the paternity leave. And you can imagine how I was harassed by this lady. She said, you, man? Yes, me, man. I spent 1 year with a 5 months old baby, my son, before I joined Nestle. And I understood what does it mean to be woman and to work at home, not to sit at home, because very often men says, lady sitting at home, she's not busy. I was busy like hell.
You were with your Dyson. You know, you crazy about that Dyson.
Yes, that's why I didn't have Dyson. But I learned how life looks like. This is why I love to work with the ladies. I'm not saying so just to please that audience. But you are so multitasking that man is not. Man very often says, no, man should have priority. We can have two priorities as a man. But you as a woman, you have I don't know how many priorities, because I had it. One kid is crying, second needs to go to the kindergarten, I need to do shopping, and I need to cook, I need to clean, because my wife will come from the work, and she will be busy, she will be tired.
Just do it.
I was, exactly. Means I understand, I support, and I have a great support. We are a team as a family with my wife. That's the secret. And then I can do whatever. You know.
That's great. Good answer. On this side, sorry. Yeah.
So, as a woman, most of the time I have a tendency to think of the missing side of the puzzle. So, I try to, also focus on the strengths. So, in this aspect, I would like to ask you, by nature, woman has some competencies, right? Like compassion, resilience, we talked a lot, and, the patience and so on. So in your organizations, how you consider those, those strengths in your succession plans? And if you consider, are the women in your organization aware of those being considered? Because also I think it's important them to be aware. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can take that one. Very good question. So I think we don't really discriminate of men versus men based on their strengths and weaknesses. What we'd like to promote, or what my advice to you would be, is to be self-aware, okay? And self-awareness is a big leadership trait that takes you very, very far in your career. And it's good to know your blind spots, and it's good to know your weaknesses, but my advice to you is easier to accelerate or go to the next level on your strengths. It's difficult to go from here to here. It's relatively easy to go from here, because you also need to have fun along the way. It's also the experience and the journey. Becoming a superwoman or a superman or a big leader, where is the fun? The fun is the experience and the process. So my advice to you is, don't be too harsh to yourself. Be aware of your blind spots and weaknesses, but try to become great on your strengths, and you will enjoy the journey.
One advice from my side, be vocal about your dream, professional dream. Because very often it's like, you talk to someone and what is your professional dream? I don't know. I don't know what I want to achieve. But I want to be visible. I want this. But be clear about your ambition and be vocal with others. They should know about this.
Yep, speaking up is so important. Over there, one of my Australian sisters.
Thank you, Angela. You're doing a fabulous job. And thank you, panels. It's so refreshing to hear great male opinions. My name is Sandra D'Souza, and I'm the CEO and founder of Elect, and our mission is about increasing women representation in leadership and board roles. I have a long question, but it's a short answer from all of your panel members. We have an accreditation badge, and if you qualify 3 out of 4, you're considered committed to gender equality from the top level. So I'm going to talk about those 4 criteria, and if you could let us know whether you qualify for your company. The first criteria is a woman CEO or CFO, you get 1 point. The second one is woman board chair, you get a 2nd point. The third one is 25% of women represented on boards, you get a 3rd point. And the 4th one is if you get 25% of women represented in the C-suite teams, you get, that's the 4th point. So I'm curious to know, where do you sit?
I get 3 out of 4. Just the chair of the board is a man. I work for a global CEO. She happens to be female, and so 3 out of 4.
Excellent, thank you. You qualify.
Yeah, we have the global chair as the man, but our board in Turkey is 60-40, as I said, and C-level and the mid-level is also 50-50. So we are there at that front.
And the CFO?
CFO is also a female.
Congratulations, you qualify.
She's sitting there.
Yes.
My CFO was so good, the lady, Kasia Choinska, who left the UK to a bigger market than Turkey, yeah, because she was promoted. And she was replaced by men. Yeah? But she was great. And promoted to the highest levels. From the global perspective, yes, our chairman is man, our CEO is man, but we have 36% of ladies within the board of Nestle. We have 33% within board of Nestle Turkey. We have 48 within the middle management. And as I said, CFO is...
Yeah, no, look, it's good. So I'm also a published author from Bias to Equality, and it was a research across 10,000 companies listed on the stock exchange, and those who qualify, at least 3, were less than 5% of companies. So you're in the less than 5%.
Good to be there.
Yay. Thanks, Sandra. And can we take another couple, Irene? Okay, great.
I would like to thank the panelists and Irene specifically for this opportunity. My question focuses primarily on values within the organizational behavior, and I have this question for you, panelists. So the effects of AI on organizational behavior dynamic, what would you say? Will people become more replaceable, or will error become the human capital? And if success doesn't equal progress, what is the ultimate goal of organization? And as we know, we have now women, men, AI, and the balance of equity within these frameworks. How are we going to operate within that framework? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can answer from my perspective, of course. As we said, it's unstoppable, but when we talk about values and we talk about people all the time, means we cannot forget about people. Means the human centricity, it should be still as a leading the value of all the companies. Doesn't matter which company it is. If we talk about human centricity and the people centricity, we need to be smart and to play and pragmatic at the same time. Not because AI will not replace everyone, everything. We need to be smart with this. This is how I see it.
Well, would you say that, for example, as you mentioned earlier, empathy, emotional intelligence are becoming more of valued?
I believe.
Right, and I think most people can agree with that, but we don't want to downplay the gentlemen within the organizations, right? As we know, women are more successful in that aspect. How are we going to balance that?
I'm fan of, I like AI to some extent, but I am fan of something I call NI, which is natural intelligence. Means intelligent people will really find a balance between all of those, things. This is how I see it.
Maybe I'll just add a perspective of a core value which is not gender specific, and it's strongly linked to the world that we are living in or we will be living in, is around ethics and integrity. Okay? With so much going on in technology, we are all overwhelmed with information. So AI, if you don't have ethics and integrity or know what's right versus wrong, AI is just a faster way to make bad decisions at scale. Okay? Make sure you reflect on that.
And we shouldn't forget about one thing. All of us, we are consumers. If someone will replace all of us someday, someone should buy products or services, yes? This is why I'm not so stressed about the future.
I did say you could do more, but we're running out of time. So sorry, sisters. Are you guys staying here for a little bit? No.
Are you hanging around after your panel?
I can be, yeah.
Good. We've got a captive audience here, so please feel free to come up and talk to them at the end of the session. I'm sorry.
We have had CEO forums for a long time as an integral part because we need to hear from you guys. And I have to say, this is probably one of the best discussions that we've ever had. So, and that comes from a highly critical person like me. I wanted to tell you, it was so surprising to see everybody raise their hand when you asked a question about AI. Let me tell you something. I asked Microsoft to do AI training at this summit, 2 sessions. because no matter what they say, sisters, I know we're not using it as we should. So we posted it and said, this is limited to the first 40 registrants, and I had 2 sessions. In 24 hours, they were closed. Everyone signed up. So I told Microsoft, pay attention to this. That's a message, and it's also a message to us. You talked about infrastructure. I released a report this year on women CEOs. And the infrastructure does matter. It ain't ours. Anyway, thank you so much. And Angela, always, you cannot wait 5 years. I need you here, okay? I don't care
Thanks
if you're
very
with
much.
FT or whatever T, come back. Anyway, please
Thank you.
give
Thank
this
you very much. Wonderful
incredible
panel.
panel a hand.